Have you ever watched the person you love become a complete stranger right before your eyes? The air in our downtown Chicago apartment turned sharp and thin, the city lights of Wacker Drive glittering coldly through the floor-to-ceiling windows. I held up my phone, the screen glowing with a photo from our trip to Miami, a candid shot of her, laughing on the balcony of the Fontainebleau. "I was thinking of getting a few of these printed for the hallway," I said, my voice attempting a casualness I didn't feel. Sarah didn't even look up from her laptop. "Just pick whichever, Michael. I'm busy." Her tone was flat, dismissive. A knot of ice formed in my stomach. It wasn't just the indifference. It was the way her fingers froze over the keyboard, the sudden tension in her shoulders. She turned ice cold when I mentioned the vacation photos, the ones I later realized were missing a key element: our children. That was the moment the first crack appeared in the foundation of my world, a tiny fissure that would soon shatter everything I had ever believed in. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For 15 years, Sarah was my everything. We built a life from nothing to kids who fell in love in college and clawed our way to a comfortable existence in the heart of the city. I adored her, not just for her beauty, but for the fire I thought burned only for me. But that fire had been reduced to embers, and now a chilling draft. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, was now her constant companion, clutched in her hand like a lifeline, its screen always angled away from me. Late-night work emergencies became frequent, her explanations vague and coded in a new, sharp-edged annoyance. One evening, a receipt fell from her purser for two at Gibson's Bar and Steakhouse on Rush Street, a place we hadn't been together in years, dated on a night she was supposedly working late on a deadline. When I asked her about it, a mask of cold manipulation slid over her features. "Are you checking up on me, Michael? After all these years, you think I'm some kind of liar?" The accusation was so swift, so venomous, it left me reeling. She was the one with the secret receipt, yet I was the one left feeling guilty, my questions framed as a breach of trust. "The woman I married would have laughed it off," explained the client dinner. "This new Sarah, this stranger with my wife's face, used my love as a weapon against me." Her and her partner, whoever he was, felt untouchable. Wrapped in a bubble of arrogance while I was left gasping for air outside. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. I was putting our daughter to bed when my own phone buzzed. It was a text from our shared credit card account, a charge for $800 at the Peninsula Hotel. My heart hammered against my ribs. Sarah was once again at a networking event. I walked into our bedroom, the silence thick and heavy. Her scent lingered on the pillows, a ghost of the intimacy we once shared. I sank onto the edge of the bed, the weight of it all crushing me. The lies, the coldness, the casual cruelty. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a profound humiliation. She was dismantling our life, piece by piece, and making me feel like I was insane for noticing. In that quiet, dark room, surrounded by the life we had built, I finally broke. The tears came silently, hot tracks of grief and rage. But as the last tear fell, something inside me shifted. The sorrow began to cool, hardening into something else, something solid, something strategic. The broken man got up from the bed. In his place stood someone else, a man with a singular, chilling purpose. The hunt had begun. My grief became my fuel. I was no longer a husband drowning in sorrow. I was a detective, and my own life was the crime scene. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop who operated out of a small office in the Loop. He was expensive, but clarity had no price tag. While he tracked her physical movements, I became a digital ghost. I installed a keylogger on her personal laptop, a morally gray step that felt like a necessary descent into her world of deceit. The first pieces of evidence were mundane, texts filled with nauseating pet names, plans for clandestine meetings. The affair partner was Mark, a smug real estate developer she'd met at a conference. His messages dripped with condescension, referring to me as the husband or the ball and chain. They weren't just cheating, they were mocking me. The PI's photos were the final, brutal confirmation. Sarah and Mark. Leaving a boutique hotel in the Gold Coast, her hand tucked into his arm, laughing with a carefree intimacy she hadn't shown me in years. I saved every photo, every text, every email to a secure, encrypted hard drive. I contacted a shark of a divorce attorney, a woman known for her scorched earth tactics. We met in her sterile high-rise office overlooking Millennium Park. I laid out the evidence. She looked at me, her eyes sharp. "What do you want, Michael?" she asked. "I want to make sure she understands the consequences of her actions," I replied, my voice devoid of emotion. "I want to set a trap she can't escape." The plan was a slow burn, a masterpiece of social and legal destruction. The first step was financial. On my lawyer's advice, I began meticulously documenting Sarah's lavish spending on Martha hotel stays, the expensive gifts, all charged to our joint accounts. We quietly separated our finances, moving my salary into a new, private account. She didn't notice for weeks. The second step was social. Sarah was the chair of a major charity gala, her passion project, and the pinnacle of her social standing. I knew Mark would be there. I made an anonymous donation to the charity, a significant one, securing a table right at the front. The final piece of the trap was the vacation photos. I hired a digital artist to create a series of beautiful, realistic photographs of me and our 2 children on that Miami vacation. The photos, we were laughing, playing on the beach, having dinner, a perfect family trip. The only thing missing was Sarah. I had them professionally framed and hung them in the main hallway the day before the gala. It was a quiet, haunting declaration of her absence. The night of the gala was electric with tension. Sarah, oblivious, was in her element, floating through the ballroom at the Drake Hotel in a stunning gown, the queen of her social circle. I played the part of the doting husband, smiling and nodding, my heart a block of ice. Mark was there, preening at a nearby table. The main presentation began, a slideshow celebrating the charity's donors. As it reached its climax, the screen flickered. Instead of the charity's logo, a photo appeared, Sarah and Mark, kissing outside the Peninsula Hotel, the date and time stamped in the corner. Gasps rippled through the ballroom. Another photo flashed on screen, a screenshot of their texts. His smug words about the husband, now broadcast for all her friends and colleagues to see. The slideshow continued, a brutal, undeniable timeline of her affair. Sarah froze, her face a mask of horror. Her perfect world was incinerating around her. She turned to look at me, her eyes wide with panic and disbelief. I simply held her gaze, my expression unreadable. Then I stood up, walked to the podium, and took the microphone. "It seems my wife has been running a charity of her own," I said, my voice calm and clear, echoing through the stunned silence. "Unfortunately, its primary beneficiary was Mark here. As for the children and I, we had a wonderful vacation without her." I gestured to the exit. "The divorce papers were filed this morning. You'll be served tomorrow." I placed the microphone down and walked out of the ballroom, leaving her to the whispers, the stares, and the ruins of her life. I never saw her again in person, only in legal proceedings where she was a ghost of her former self. She lost everything: her social standing, her reputation, and, in the divorce settlement, the majority of the assets she had so carelessly squandered. I got full custody of the kids. Our beautiful apartment on Wacker Drive was sold, its windows now reflecting a life that no longer belonged to us. Sometimes, late at night in my new, quieter home, I look at the photos in the hallway, the ones of me and the kids in Miami, the fabricated images of a life I had to pretend to have to escape the one that was killing me. My revenge was total, my victory absolute, but the silence it left behind is a cold and constant companion. The end.